So the formal title of this initiative is the Michigan Engaging Community Through the Classroom Initiative. We quickly shorten it to the abbreviation, and one thing we found is my colleagues and I disagree. I call it MECC and my other colleagues call it MEC. It is a collaboration of myself, Liz Gerber in the School of Public Policy, GAIL HOHNER in the College of Engineering, Trish KOMAN in the School of Public Health, and Jim KOSTEVA in the Office of Government Relations, and then Paul FONTAINE, who's a lecturer in the College of Architecture and Urban Planning in the planning program and has been the program manager for the initiative. It started as an initiative of myself and Liz Gerber and Paul FONTAINE, and we teach in disciplines that are training students to go out and be practicing professionals. And the work they do rarely involves just working with colleagues from your profession. You're always working with folks from other allied professional disciplines. And we realized we're training our students to be really strong core professionals in their discipline. We're not really giving them the training to be able to talk to allied disciplines in their practice through their graduate educations. And more in a pluralistic world with all of the complexities we're dealing with, there's a lot to be said for giving them that extra bit of training. So our program teaches, all of these schools teach capstone-like or applied seminar-like courses that are designed to get students working with real clients out in the world on real policy or planning or public health problems or engineering design problems. And we thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could figure out some way to get students working together on related problems at least, so they can start to learn how the other discipline thinks and how it talks and how it approaches problems, so that when they get out into their practice, they've actually had some of that experience in their training. We started this is very much a grassroots bottom-up initiative. So the very first thing we did was start to call colleagues from other schools that we knew taught similar practice-like courses and tried to find faculty who teach those courses and started having meetings to try and figure out how do we do this. And long drawn-out meetings with lots of debate about the best way to integrate this, lots of different models. And finally, after doing that for about a year or two, Paul FONTAINE took the initiative and lined up some clients in Ypsilanti, primarily around SPARC, which is the Economic Development Organization, and the Racer Trust, which is the entity that is decommissioning the old Willow Run bomber plant. And Racer Trust needed to have some work done on logistics for reconfiguring the runways and the airport proper. SPARC was quite interested in helping planning students work with the Willow Run neighborhood, which is right next to the airport. And then we brought in public health students because there are a lot of public health issues in that neighborhood as well. And so the very first project revolved around 3 different teams of students, some engineering, actually two classes of engineering students doing 2 different projects for the Racer Trust Willow Run bomber plant, urban planning students working with the Willow Run Neighborhood Association, and then public health students working with that group as well on a health impact study. And these are 2 clients that are literally right next door to each other who have never really talked to each other. Racer Trust, the airport authority, hadn't really thought about how what it was doing might affect the neighborhood. The neighborhood folks had no idea what was going on next door and lots of issues that they're trying to deal with. And so we brought our 3 classes together. And the way the project works is each class continues to work for its own client, like the classes always have, but we bring the clients together periodically and the students together periodically, and we find ways to trick them into working together more than they might want to otherwise, and invariably it all comes together at the end, and it's been a wonderful experience. After these long meetings trying to figure out how to make this work, one thing we decided not to do was to just create single integrated classes. That's done quite a bit around campus. So each of the colleges and schools that are contributing to the program are continuing to teach the capstone or the policy seminar courses they were teaching before. They're continuing to work with clients in the real world like they used to before. So in that respect, it's very much the same. What's different is we find clients who are in the same general area who are doing things that touch other folks in the neighborhood, if you will. And then we're bringing the students together to work on projects that speak to those clients. So what's really different is we get the students together periodically to share their experiences and explain to each other who they're working for, what they're trying to do, what the issues are. And then if we're lucky, we can get the clients together too and get them talking in ways they maybe haven't been talking before. And so the added, it's kind of, it's a little bit of extra on top of a regular seminar or capstone that would have been taught anyways. It's more work for the students because we start to meet a little bit more frequently with the other classes, or they have to meet out of class with folks from the other schools and start to work together. But what we found, you know, there's a little bit of resistance because I already have so much to do. Why are you making me do that too? What we found is once we can get them working together, they start to see the benefits of what the other students have to offer that they never thought of before. And that's when things really start to click and come together. So we have a great story of a group meeting for the Willow Run project where the engineering students were presenting to their clients and the other clients how they were going to reconfigure the runways and how this was going to improve the logistics of the airport. And the woman who was the neighborhood chair of the chair of the neighborhood raised her hand and said, "You're going to reconfigure the runways and now the planes are going to be flying differently. How is that going to affect me?" And the students were like, "Well, that's outside our scope. We're not supposed to think about that." And then and as one of my colleagues likes to say, you could see the learning taking place on their faces. So it's those kinds of light bulb moments where you can see students kind of start to click like, "Oh, I didn't realize that," or "I never thought about that," or "Wow, what I'm doing is going to have an effect on something else." The planning students have gotten a lot out of the public health students because of the way they're approaching the issues and the issues they raise. Our planners are really good at making maps. We're finding students from other disciplines love the maps our students can make and how it helps them think spatially in ways they haven't been thinking before. So it's those kinds of instances of the light bulb moments when things happen that has really been fun to see.